Hey, Daniel here from SmartHomePerfected. Today we're going to go through a smart wall outlet from British General. Obviously this is for UK and Irish households or properties. There's not a huge amount of smart outlets available actually in this market, British General being one of the only ones doing it. So yeah, excited to have a look to see how this works. So as you can see, it's a 2-gang double 13 amp white molded outlet. I think the key thing here is it's a slim profile. I've fitted these style outlets before and USB outlets, and a lot of them are quite deep and don't fit into the standard backings. So yeah, the slim profile will definitely help here. And as you can see from the packaging, you can control by mobile, voice and touch, which will go through on-off switches. Again, this is quite typical of smart devices because obviously you can remotely control them, so you don't want a physical on-off switch that's in an on or an off position. You need a kind of a status switch, as you see here. And then yeah, timer schedules as well. Just to take a quick look at the back, you can see that there's, yeah, it goes into the integrations available and I suppose examples of what you can use it for in terms of, you know, controlling irons, kettles, TVs, lights, etc. Fits the 25mm back box, as I mentioned, so that's pretty important. So yeah, let's open it up and see what it looks like. Okay. Okay, so we've got some instructions here. So yeah, we'll go through those in a second. Yeah, obviously a quick product overview and where the wirings go. So let's take it out of the cardboard holder. Okay, so yeah, I suppose what you would expect from a standard wall outlet, with the exception of these kind of on-off switches. Looking at the back here, again, to what you'd expect: single live earth and neutral, with screws, etc. that you'd need. So as you can see, it's a Wi-Fi socket. So this isn't Z-Wave or Zigbee. It works off standard Wi-Fi. You need to use the British General app to be able to hook this into, I suppose, to do whatever you want. So there is a dependency there on using the BG app, and we'll go through that in a while. There is, I did a bit of searching online for this. You can, I suppose you can use this with Home Assistant. I think a couple of guys on the Home Assistant community have built adapters to be able to use this through Home Assistant. It's obviously not officially supported, but yeah, the app itself should do the job. So yeah, we'll go through that. Having a quick look at the instructions here. Yeah, so simple setup instructions. You're looking at installing the BG Home app, setting up your account, powering up the socket, obviously, after installation, and then working your way through. So you can see Amazon Alexa and Google Home are options here. And for Alexa, it's a case of enabling the BG Home app. Then in your Alexa app, tapping skills and essentially, I suppose, adding the BG skills to your Alexa system, linking your account, and then it's a case of, you know, simple voice commands to Alexa to turn on or off the device. For Google Home, similar enough situation, and similar enough setup, and then from there you're using the Google Assistant app to do what you need. Cool. So I suppose some other aspects of it, there's an indicator brightness control selector, so you can adjust the intensity of the power indicators, just that if you don't want it blinding you in a room if you're watching a TV or something like that. Obviously you have power control via the remote app or via voice control, which is good. Having a quick look at the back here, you've got your wiring instructions and you know, if you're replacing an existing socket or if it's a new installation, there's a step-by-step there on tying in the live earth and neutral. Again, with the 25mm back box, that should fit standard back boxes. And yeah, from looking at it, the profile is quite slick actually. So shouldn't cause you too much issues.
Okay, so this is the outlet that I'm going to be removing. It's in a bit of an awkward angle, so we'll take a bit to get this out. I've already isolated the circuit here, so power's off. Okay, so finished the installation of the smart wall outlet, replaced what was there. Yeah, this is a very tricky angle, and had to cut away a bit of the skirting as well just to get off access. Wasn't necessarily a problem with the depth of the socket itself. It's just that it's a pretty old area here, so yeah, needed to cut away. It's slightly off center there, but yeah, I'll tidy this up after. So as you can see, I've switched the power back on. You can see the lights are flashing. I'll just very quickly test it out. Okay, yep, so getting PE and L, so everything is lined up correctly there. And a quick test. Yep, that was the breaker, so all good here. So next up is to set up the app and sync it all up.
Okay, so next step on this setup process, I now have the socket installed, and I've downloaded the BG Home app. So I'm just going to quickly open it up. So the sockets are flashing red at the moment, so they're in Wi-Fi setup mode. So yeah, I'll just skip through this. Cool, so we're at the point now where we need to add a device. So I'll hit add device. Quick look at the privacy statement and continue. Okay, so we're going to go for socket. Yeah, there's the icon. So we hit socket. Okay, so I've pressed the left button for 5 seconds to the point where the rings flash red 3 or 4 times, then off, and then flash red 3 or 4 times again. So it's now in pairing mode essentially. Brilliant, so we're connected. So from here, I tap my network. There's my password, connect. And now we're trying to connect the device to Wi-Fi. Okay, we did it. We're now connected. Yeah, that was an interesting process. So you really need to stick by the socket as you're doing this. I was going between rooms, and essentially there's kind of 2 steps to the setup process. The first one is you hold the left button, the left power button on the socket for 5 seconds until it's frantically flashing red without any breaks. And then once it's in that mode, you hold it again for 5 seconds. And then it switches to a flashing red 3 or 4 times and then off, and then flashing red 3 or 4 times and then off. And then that's essentially the setup mode you're looking for. I thought just the standard flashing red was the setup mode, and it wasn't. So once it's in that mode, follow the steps. Make sure you're close by though, because I think your phone connects to the device to then allow the connection from the device to the Wi-Fi network. So I was running between rooms, which was a bit too far away, and I was losing the connection. So okay, cool. So device connected. You can add to a room now, and I'll drop this in. So essentially it's a living room. Name your device. Yeah, so I'll just leave that actually a socket. I can update it again, I'm sure. Okay, and save. Great, so we're all set up. The socket has been added. Yep, just try to turn it on and off. And there's a firmware update message. Always good to keep smart home technology firmware up to date, particularly from a security perspective. But just generally, it's worthwhile. A lot of this stuff is integrated with Google Home, integrated with Alexa, IFTTT, whatever else. And as they update their software on their end, usually the manufacturers will need to update firmware to make sure it's compatible with the new versions. So yeah, always good to do that. So firmware successfully up to date. Cool. So yeah, power is off on the left. Hit it. Power is on. turn them both off, turn them both on. That looks all good. So there's the ability, again, turn them both off, both on. Ability to set timers, which is quite nice. So you have the options for, you know, repeating settings. Very good. So again, there's 2 sockets here. So which ones do you want to be timed on and off? So that's nice. 5, 2 or 7, it would appear there. So there's the timers, a bit of a delay. Cool, yeah, that's good. Not sure how useful that will be, but I'm sure I'll come up with some use for it. Random, again, not too sure about that, but okay. Yeah, that's good. So the socket has been added, and I now have 1 device in my BG Home app. So yeah, so there's a few other areas then worth looking at. Again, there's probably, yeah, you can have multiple homes, so multiple properties. If you have a lot of these devices, you can create scenes. If you have multiple devices, you could tie them all into custom scenes where, you know, if one event happens or one trigger happens, it results in a lot of, you know, maybe multiple sockets coming on, or multiple lights, or Alexa playing a song, or whatever that is. So that's quite nice. Yeah, custom scenes, etc. I won't save changes. And then you have a view of yourself, and yeah, that's again, third-party services. So you have Alexa, Google Home, and IFTTT. Again, you can manage homes and add additional homes if you need. Vibrations set. Not sure what that's used for, but we'll have a look at it. Great, so smart socket fully installed. Let me just give it a quick run through. So this is usually important for smart devices, that you still have a physical on-off button if the Wi-Fi network drops, or, you know, be that less of a problem with Z-Wave or Zigbee networks, but you know, for something that's dependent on the internet, if you lose connection, which happens regularly, that you want to be able to just turn it on or off physically. Very important for light switches in particular, as well as sockets. So yeah, so that's an example of it working just by physically pressing it. A quick look at the app, which is here. So you can turn on both or turn off both from there, or you could dive into the app itself and go for the left one, go for the right one, and that's all good. So yeah, pretty fast. I know some Wi-Fi devices can be quite slow, but that's pretty fast. I'm pretty happy with that. So there you have it. That's the BG socket. Yeah, pretty good.